Peace, and welcome to the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. This is a space for, but never limited to, people of color for discussing sacred plant medicine, pregnancy, parenthood, and more. You know, there's such a stigma on who can open the floor for conversation on these topics that are viewed as taboo or even inappropriate. This fact alone has made so many become fearful of the very thing that could help us rebuild families, create our own businesses, and most importantly, trust our role in this world as future ancestors. So wherever you are, take a cleansing breath and do your best to listen with an open mind, heart, and spirit, and let love lead the way. I'm your host, Taylor.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. Tonight, I am here with Farrah the Frequency. She is someone who I've gotten to know over the past couple of years via social media, and she is a beautiful soul who is also a fellow sound bath facilitator. She has many other talents, but I will let her go ahead and introduce herself. So, Farrah.
Hello. Like you said, my name is Farrah, also known as Farrah the Frequency. And what do I do? What are my talents? First, I'm not a human being, right? An artist. I consider myself an energy healing artist. So just being in the realm of the healing arts, massage, yoga, reiki, sound healing, shamanic journeys, plant medicine, and also my first love being music as well. So I call myself a sound healing songstress. So combining my love for sound healing, for music, and for using my voice to, express myself and just share who I am with the world. So, yeah.
Beautiful. So, when did you realize that sound was a catalyst for transformation for you?
Mm. I would say I've always known. It's just kind of like growing up and loving the songs on the radio. And I still remember the first time I got, my first CDs and my boom box, which I literally have them to this day. Like they're like my things I'm gonna pass down to my kids, or like it's a boom box. So I feel like music has always been something that I always loved to sing, and but I would say I really became aware that this was something that was healing for me once I reached high school and I did choral music. And we performed, in different cities and did competitions, and we had to audition to be in, this advanced group, and just the level of love and friendship and just joy that I got from, being in that space of music, and was really healing for me, especially, teenage angst and like all the things that are going on in my personal life and in my family life at the time. And I feel like going to school and going to chorus was like my escape. So that was the first time I really realized that music was like really healing for me. But I've always been singing and dancing since I was born. So
It's amazing to know what music and just sound in general can do for us. Sound is the vibration of the planet that we're on right now. It's how we came into being. So to be able to combine that and then to share that with the world must be a pretty great feeling for you.
yeah, it's honestly one of the most challenging initiations that I feel like I've had to constantly face myself the most has been through my journey with sound, whether it be when I was in school and I had a solo and I had to get on stage and, freezing, or, and having to like figure out what it feels like to like be courageous and be seen, or, the times where I'm, being yelled at by my teacher, about hitting the notes, and then like feeling what it feels like to be like in a team and like people needing you to like hold that frequency. And also now where I am now with, my travels and how I've gone deeper with sound, specifically in the realm of meditation, in the realm of healing, and how that's just made me have to face myself even more, all my shadows. Like sound always, it's the one thing that I'm like, ugh, oh, okay, I deal with this, and I gotta sing through it, and it just feels so uncomfortable. So
Yeah, that activated throat center, it will really do something for you because when it's ready to come out, there's really no way to suppress it.
exactly, and it's just so um, it's intense to say the least.
So you spoke a little bit about initiation. So I'm sure there have been many that you have gone through in your life, but what are some of your most memorable initiations you've had throughout life? And it doesn't just have to be with sacred medicine, but anything in your life that kind of felt like a process of death and rebirth for you.
Good question. Give me a second to think about that.
Take your time. I know that can be
I
a
would,
difficult one.
yeah, I would say a big initiation for me. I'm trying to think because I'm like, there's so many that happened recently, but like, I'm like trying to challenge myself to go really far back and think about when I wasn't aware that it was initiation. When was I having initiation? I would say I'll just use a more current one because that's what's in my mind now. Um, when I recently went to Mexico, like literally in July, at the end of June, July, I was with my mentor, and was a part of a mastermind group where it was focused on, building our soulful businesses and, working through the inner work it takes to put yourself out there as an entrepreneur. And we had our retreat in Mexico, and the journey to get there was one of the worst travel experiences I have ever had. It was such a difficult experience. And the moment that I realized how hard it was just like thing after thing just popping up, and it's like no control, like where the flights are just getting delayed. And I'm like exhausted. At this point, I'm kind of delirious. And as soon as I landed on, that the land, I was like, oh, this is an initiation. Like this part of the earth, these ancestors are like, you gonna work. You gonna work to be here because you about to be going through some deep stuff, and we're gonna take you through a lot to get here. And so that was like a recent initiation. And even while I was there as well too, we journeyed through one of the largest underwater rivers in the world. Like just casually, they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're about to do this," and it symbolizes the underworld for the Mayan shamans. So like
Mhm.
it was just. I have stories for days, but that was the most recent like initiation. Like just getting to that specific land, that Mayan land, was so hard. And then on top of that, the experiences that I had in that container, all of it, it was so difficult. It was very difficult. And I was like, okay, this is definitely initiation. And once I acknowledged that, um, I allowed myself to surrender. And not to say it got better, but the flow, I let it happen. Yeah.
These initiations seem to be portals a little bit, like going through these different dimensions almost where we start to experience different things, and it's like you're here in one body in 1 minute, and then your challenge was something almost to bring you through. And I was talking to someone on another episode, and the common phrase, how deep the rabbit hole goes. But, when you think about being pulled into these, it must feel, I want to say it probably just feels like you're transforming into a new person every time, right?
Absolutely. It's literally that energy of death and rebirth. And personally, my my astrological chart, which I've like over the years studied on my own, but I've started to like attract people who are like pros, and they're like, "Oh, girl, like you just full of 12th house energy. You're just full of Pluto and full of Scorpio." And I'm like, no wonder. And
Oh,
this
my
is
Pluto's in
manifest.
Scorpio.
Yeah, I think that's our like generation is
Yeah.
like we're just like in the transformations. And I have like 3 or 4 planets in the 12th house too of like Pluto energy, so I feel like I'm constantly going through transformations. And it kind of helped me understand myself more, because I've always been known to change my hair like constantly, and I'm like, oh, no wonder, because this is me coping with all of the constant death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. Um, but the more I feel like, the more it's just more of an acceptance thing. The more you accept that this is just how it actually feels. Not to say it gets easier, but we develop better tools, more aligned tools to help us move through it.
I definitely feel that because, yeah, we do come from the Pluto and Scorpio generation. And then my Pluto is also in the 12th house. So transformation, death, and rebirth almost feels like just breathing to me sometimes. It's not fun, but it definitely feels very normal, more normal than it does to a lot of other people. So I think that kind of comes with also taking on that healer energy, that shaman energy too, to be able to process and go through that, because there are many people who have a really difficult time with that. So I honor you for being that person for other people, and especially through the Reiki work that you do. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Reiki was like my first love. That was my first practice that really helped me ground after having my initial spiritual awakening, right? That initial like consciousness shift where you realize like, oh shit, the government's been lying to us, and what's happening, and you're trying to figure out who you are and all those things. And Reiki was that first practice that I invested in learning about. And it's funny because that was like probably like 6 or 7 years ago. And I remember distinctly, having that inner dialogue with myself of like, I'm not teaching. Like, this is for me. I am nobody's guru. I'm no one's master. Like, I was just like very resistant. I knew I wanted to study as far as I could go. I think that's also the Pluto in us, where it's like, I'm gonna go. I mean, we gonna go down the rabbit hole. I'm gonna go all the way down. Like, fuck it,
Yeah, yeah.
like. And yeah, initially it was just really for me. I was at a space where I was learning that my sensitivities, as a highly sensitive person at the time, like empath was like kind of still a taboo word. Now it's kind of like I'm an empath. It's kind of just like saying like I have curly hair. Like everybody's empath, like But it was at that time where I was coming into accepting my sensitivities, and Reiki was that anchor for me, and it made me feel like I was crazy and not alone for feeling everything so deeply, and not feeling as overwhelmed. And 5 years later, we're moving through the pandemic, and I'm working with a business mentor, and I'm wanting to start a business, and I put out a mentorship, and that was really beautiful. And then, it was time to put out the second round, and people were like, don't you teach Reiki? And I was like, oh. Yeah, technically I only taught one person, and I was just working as a practitioner, but I had the training to teach other people, and I had a manual and everything. But I just, like my mentor says, like I followed the energy, that was spirit was like, it is time to teach. Like I didn't choose it. It was just like people were like, I want to learn Reiki, I want to learn. And then all of a sudden, like that was the catalyst that like led to my business like expanding, and just this like crazy amount of abundance that just came in. And when I reflect back on it, Reiki and that specific lineage was the portal that opened up the next initiation into this shamanic work, into plant medicine, into my travels to Peru and all of these things. And so, yeah, Reiki always has a special place in my heart. At this moment now, I don't feel called to teach. I've kind of closed that chapter. Again, I've kind of gone back and forth, and now it feels like it's supposed to be closed again right now. But it'll always be something that I practice, that I share, that, I mean, you're Reiki attuned as well too. Like once it's like turned on, it's like you can't not be. It's an embodiment. It's a way of life. And so I'm just so grateful for Reiki, for the Sui lineage, for the Japanese lineage, for coming into my life. And actually, I don't think I've ever shared this publicly, but I'll share this. When I was my second time being in Peru, I actually did a Wachuma cactus ceremony hike. And the second time I did it, I actually had a past life regression where I was a Japanese man. And it came from one of the brothers who was in there facilitating and doing the photography. He did a Japanese prayer, and it instantly took me to that past life where I was like a Japanese man and I was climbing a mountain and I was like with like my Reiki people and we were like climbing this mountain and it instantly took me there and I was like, whoa. And that just confirmed for me that yes, you are welcome back to the practice in this lifetime, but manifest it as a melanated woman.
What does it feel like to be in another body? I haven't had a past life regression session, but I have heard and read about them a lot. What does that feel like?
It is deeply intense, and I've never had a past life session. It's always the two times that I've had past life experiences where it's like a flashback almost, was when I was on the same land in Peru doing this Wachuma hike. It's the same spot every time, and it instantly takes me there. That first time I did that, I had that experience. I had 3 past life regressions or experiences, and then the second time I had 2, and one of them was the same one as last time. Like it was like I went back again, and so the experience, like the feeling, and it's so crazy because I didn't have any reference. I heard, like you, same as you, like I had never done a session. I had never even heard about anyone who like what their experience was. So I had no reference. I just heard about it and I knew it was a thing. But as soon as it happened, I knew that's what it was because I can't explain. I'm trying to see the words. It's just a knowing, and I feel like the reason why I knew that is because I already had a relationship with channeling and knowing like when I am receiving something that is like from, a spirit guide or from I'm doing a reading for a client or a student and their guides are coming in. Like I know what that feels like, that separation. So I guess that kind of helped me realize like, oh no, this is me, but like I'm in something else. But like my consciousness is there, but like and I'm not, it's just like a that's so Raven moment. It's like a
Yeah.
that's the best way I can describe it.
We grew up with that for a reason, I'm convinced.
Oh, absolutely. It was huge. I feel like it was a huge part of our journeys to kind of like reawaken that. That's why I love Raven Simone so much. I have so much love for her because she took on that role to play that. And there was like taboo, like just this black psychic girl like living in San Francisco. She's like a fashionista and she's regular. She's not like like she's a shaman and this traditional thing. She's just like a regular girl like us, and then all of a sudden she's like
it's crazy to think about that because I never thought about it like that growing up. But now, stepping into a healing path and that being so popular and trendy now, like we had it before it was like a thing again. It was always a thing, but before it became what it is now and New Ageism all stepped in, like we had a Black teenage psychic. It was awesome.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about Peru. And I have seen a bit about your travels before, but I'd like to know what your relationship is with sacred medicine.
Where could I start with sacred medicine? I guess I'll start with my first experience with sacred medicine. And actually, my travels to Peru actually helped me build a deeper relationship with Santa Maria, Mary Jane, cannabis. So that I would say was my first encounter, and that was when I was 19. So I feel like I was a little late to the game. I feel like, I have know so many people who are like, oh, I started smoking when I was like 13. I'm like, whoa, like I didn't even know what it was. Like
I wasn't ready till I was 18. Don't feel bad.
Okay, good. But yeah, my first time being introduced to this medicine was actually very beautiful. It was me being 19, everyone came back from winter break and we got together and we smoked, and it was hilarious. It was fun. I was laughing the whole time. We was giggly. It was like, oh my God, like, this is wonderful. Like, and then we went to cook out, and I got a big double burger, and it was the best burger I ever had in my life. Like, so my first experience with this beautiful medicine, I feel like it opened up my heart. I feel like it just like, and it was just so much joy and so much laughter and just a lot of love with friends. And it was a really beautiful experience. It was a lot of up and downs and like weird moments, but it was overall my first time experiencing sacred medicine was fun. It was amazing. And then, of course, from that with cannabis, I've, you know, had my different experiences. And the first time I really like dove into it and was like, became like a pothead, I guess, for lack of better terms, I was dating a Rastafarian. And so that was like my culture, So that was the catalyst to my spiritual awakening. So like cannabis is deeply connected to not only having that heart opening experience when I was 19, but a few years later when I really started to partake like constantly on the daily, that was a part of my spiritual awakening where I started to question things, and it just opened up my mind and my consciousness and my senses. I was like, wow, like I didn't know food tasted like this. I didn't know music. Oh wow, music. I feel like it woke me up. So that was my initiation into plant medicine. And then as far as going deeper from that, it was psilocybin, magic mushrooms. And the first time I did that, I went to an Erykah Badu concert, no lie. And I met her. And it was it was one of the first times too where I experienced like being able to like telepathy with other people and just like really magical experiences and like tapping into my like psychic abilities. Like the mushrooms did that, and then combined that with music and like, Erykah Badu being this like cultural like icon for like, us awakening. And she's been on this incense and head wraps and veganism, she's been on it. And so
Yeah.
she's like an elder. And so I got to psilocybin was a part of that initiation of meeting and connecting with that energy. So that was really beautiful. And I'm not sure if LSD or acid, I don't think is that considered? I want to hear your opinion. Would you consider that? Because it's like synthetic.
I think if we think about the component of where it comes from, like DMT, for example, being the main component in ayahuasca, yes. Yeah. Now, as someone who has taken it, I will say I do think there's a difference. I think you can still have mystical experiences regardless. But if I had the option of always honoring it in the most natural way possible, I would always choose that first.
Absolutely. I agree. So yeah, I would say that kind of initiated me into a deeper experience. And I feel like also too, I think it depends on the person. And at that point in my life, when I had experienced LSD or acid for the first time, I was already on my spiritual awakening and I already understood intention. So the experience was also another beautiful thing where I was like outside singing with the earth and like healing deep traumas. But I'm with a group of people and I'm like doing my own thing. And then, years later, I was always like kind of dibbling and dabbling with psilocybin, like just like microdosing here and there, not necessarily doing like a hero's journey or anything like that. I don't think I've ever actually had that experience. Now that I think about it, not I've experienced, I would say more intense medicines that take me on a deeper journey. I don't think I've actually had a deep journey with psilocybin. Now that like I've had those experiences and reflected, I'm like, I don't actually think I've went that deep. I went the depth that I needed, but I don't think I've actually, went all the way with that medicine.
I think that's dependent on the person too with reaction. And it could just be me because I have not, I've taken a full dose, but I have not taken a heroic dose before.
Okay. Yeah, I've taken a full dose too. So yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it's the Pluto and Scorpio thing. Maybe it's the 12th house thing, but I just feel like sometimes, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way at all, that I've had such deep thoughts about the universe, the multiverse, all of these things where even if I did experience it, I think it would just be more on a visual level, even though I already know, like, yes, realities exist within one another and we're all here and there's the void and there's nothing and then there's everything. Like, I think about these things on the daily anyway. So I
Right.
don't feel like it would be a huge difference other than visually being there and then probably getting like the chemical reaction of it. But yeah.
I love that you said that because I feel like it's the same for me, where I like constantly think about it. Where I'm like, I don't feel like I actually, yeah, I go there every day, so it's like, like it would
And
have to
that's
be very, very intentional.
Yeah, and that's something I want people to know too. And you can definitely weigh in your opinion. I would love if you did. I love sacred medicine, and I think it's very important to talk about right now, especially with the times that we're going through. I
Mhm.
don't believe it is always necessary for everyone's journey. And I say this because, as someone who has practiced sound healing and Reiki and yoga and meditation and so many other things, there's so many ways to tap into consciousness. Now, we do have cheat codes like the mushroom,
Mhm.
like cannabis. These are all things that can help elevate our vibration, align us with our higher self, even though there's still shadow work to do on top of that. But it can be done anyway. I've been seeing videos lately where people were releasing trauma that was stored in their hips, and that didn't require any medicine, and they were crying their eyes out. So, how do you feel
Mhm.
about that?
I 1,000% agree. It takes me back to when I first started to work with psilocybin, and I would have those conversations with like friends and my sister and things like that, and and I could tell that they were kind of like fascinated. And I always like preface with, I'm not recommending this to you. I'm not telling you you should do this. I'm just sharing my experience because as someone who, like, mental health is a huge part of the catalyst for my spiritual awakening, and I've had a lot of very deep and traumatic experiences with mental health, and that actually was a part of my awakening as well. I'm not going to be that person that's like everybody should do this, because I don't agree. I don't think everybody's built and to do this. I don't. I don't. It's not for everyone. And like you said, there's so many tools. These are all just tools. They're medicines. They're, just deep ancestral experiences, and we can tap into so many of them. I'll share an example. When I was in Peru, um, we did a breath work um, experience, and that was the first time I ever did like intentional breath work outside of like pranayama and within the yoga practice. And I released, like, I was like compulsing, like it was like I was like, whoa, this is insane with the breath. And so you can definitely go there with other practices. It's not necessary. So.
So, have you ever, on a medicine journey, have you ever
Mhm.
aligned this with your sound healing practice at all? And if so, how did it affect you? Did you notice any differences?
Oh, I love that. That is actually something that I've been called to start doing here in my home. I haven't. Um, I've done it once since I've been. Actually, no, I've done it plenty of times. I just wasn't aware at the time. When I first got my first sound bowl, I was microdosing a lot, and this is when I first started my spiritual business and entrepreneurship, and so it was a lot of stuff coming up, which I'm sure like so many traumas come up when you start to like put yourself out there and like believe in your gifts and things like that. And at the time I was microdosing, and I started working with the sound bowl. So at the time I was doing it, and I didn't realize that I was doing it. And I also had a recent microdose experience where I was playing guitar and actually went live. It's actually on my page. And I was a like deep emotional cleanse. So I've definitely worked with it before. And also during my times in Peru, it actually activated so much of my voice. So I did a lot of singing, a lot of sound healing, channeled a lot of music that's coming out soon from Peru during those times where I was, on the medicine, coming down from medicine, microdosing, that kind of thing. So, yes.
One of the things that I love about sound healing in general and music is getting to that state of ecstasy. So, I was reading a book not too long ago. It's called Stealing Fire, and it was talking about how Navy SEALs they train and have the ability to be able to tap into flow state very easily. So through that and thinking about how we use sound healing and everything that comes along with it and going into that state, that shamanic state, I think about things like drumming, and how in tribes and in ceremony, when you're tapping into that center, like I don't think people sometimes understand how powerful that can be and that shift that your spirit goes through and how it awakens. Have you ever experienced that before?
All the time. Even before I started working with instruments and I was just working with my voice, it would happen. It would happen, honestly, when I would dance as well too, and that connects it to the music as well too. Like I would just experience those trance like flow like states, and um, I didn't know it at the time, right? Because it's so ancestral, it's so in our DNA, like it's natural. And now that I reflect back on it, having the awareness that I do now, I'm like, oh, constantly. I'm singing a song and I'm going into a trance. Like, even think about one of your favorite songs that you haven't heard in 10 years, and then all of a sudden it comes on and you remember the dance you made to it when you were 5. You remembered all the lyrics. Like, it's like, it holds that memory. And I think too, sound, and like you said with the Navy SEALs as well, and they're working with the water energy, like it's the same thing. Those frequencies are like right there, like water, that flow state, the flow of water. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And we're, what, 70, 80% water, and we're on a water planet. Like it just all flows so beautifully. And so, um, yeah, I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that ability to tap in and activate, that's what I found so fascinating. As someone who has no desire to be in the military ever, I read it because I was so interested in flow state at the time. Now that I understand it much better, and not just the ability to make like more straightforward decisions about your life, but it opens up all your different centers. It activates them so that you can not only make those better decisions, but you can start to feel each part of your body, each part you might have emotions blocked and trapped in. It makes them more open all of a sudden, and you're more clear. So we're not even just talking about decisions, we're talking about emotions and the way that we move through life. So using that, I'd like to go into you kind of describing what the difference is between entrepreneurship and soulful entrepreneurship.
That's beautiful. Um, I would say the difference is the soul part. I feel like traditional entrepreneurship um, is rooted in the old ways of of life, where it's hyper focused on the ego. It's hyper focused on the physical realm, the matrix, money and profits and how many clients and the numbers and all these things. And not to say that that's not important, because it's still business. Like, you still need to be looking at numbers. We want to make money, we want to have these experiences, but with soulful entrepreneurship, it's rooted in your purpose. It's rooted in your dharma. It's rooted in why you're here, versus, it being rooted in, okay, what do people want from me? Or what can make me the most money? Or what can make me go viral the quickest? Like, you could run your business that way, but is it sustainable? So I would say as well too, soulful entrepreneurship is about sustainability. And I believe that entrepreneurship is the old way, which is about quantity. It's about how quick. It's about, power and control.
And it's funny you say that because though we are in such a time where everybody is either claiming or trying to be so free, I have realized lately that Instagram is still kind of a greeting. It is what am I trying to say? It's a breeding grounds for making that same kind of spirit, like that, work constantly, follow these specific trends, work all day,
Mm-hmm.
work all night, and you'll get to where you are. And it's kind of taking away from the fact that we're trying to create more freedom. And in that, that's not sticking to those standards, not sticking to every single trend that you see all the time. It's fun to run with the crowd, for fun every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, where is the freedom in that if you're always following what someone else is doing? You have to find what works for you. So, how have you found through that, being a soulful entrepreneur, but still a part of social media? How have you been able to separate yourself from that?
Oh man, I I feel like I haven't fully. I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like if you're on social media, I don't think that that's actually possible where you can separate yourself fully.
That's real.
And I was like just being honest, and this is from me, 2.5 years of doing this, and like I was that person where it's like I'm gonna take a break, and you know me, like I'll take a break for a month, like I'll just disappear. You won't hear from Farrah because I need to sit and I need to. I can't be fake. This is like if it's connected to your dharma, if it's connected to your purpose, like it's you can't like it's gonna you can feel it. It literally it feels painful. Things in your life will start breaking down. Like it just won't flow. It won't be in alignment. And so I feel like I was constantly doing that, taking breaks, coming back, shifting this offering, and then like, okay, I like this, and then okay, maybe I don't. I'm watching this, and maybe I don't. So just that like back and forth, and really just uh, being in the energy of curiosity um, and play, which I think it's very difficult to do. That's what's like, even you saying this, I'm like, in the ideal world, I would love to be detached and be like, oh, I don't care about social media. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't have to get on like that. I don't care about the trends, but it's like, we do because it's designed for you to do that. Like, it's literally designed for you to be up on the trends, for you to be looking and scrolling and, for, those thoughts about self-doubt and limiting yourself and your creativity like to get embedded in your brain. Like I don't think you can avoid it. I think what we can do is create boundaries and have tools, and the more you learn about yourself and your relationship with social media, the better you can get with like gauging like, okay, this is harmful for me, or here I am scrolling again at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, okay, time to put the boundary up. Like I feel like it's like life. It's a journey. Like I don't think it's ever going to be this thing where it's like, oh, I have a beautiful relationship with social media. It's like the algorithm's changing every 5 fucking seconds. Things are up and down. So business is unpredictable. The world's unpredictable. Is the thing everything about to crash tomorrow? We don't know. So it's like it's just mirroring all of the shifts that are happening collectively. So I don't think it's possible. And I think someone who says that it is, I think they're lying. I do. I really
don't blame you.
Because it's designed to be like that, and it's a reflection of us as well too. I would always love to say that like technology is based off the human experience. We are the computer. We are the original computer. Like everything is designed based off of organic matter. We are the organic matter, and so technology is an extension of that. So if we're collectively going through these shadows and beliefs and all these things coming up, and these breakdowns and all these different things within us, it's going to be reflected in social. That's how it goes. So I think the more we accept it, like, not to say the easier it gets, but like I said before with, initiations, it's not that it get easier. We just learn better tools.
Yeah, we definitely need those tools to stay grounded. I believe in decoding the matrix. You also have to realize you're a part of it either way. You just have to find balance within that. And in a perfect world, there would be no social media and we'd all be out in the forest eating berries and living like that. But because like you said, we are the technology, we are the originals. You think about ancient times where they had such advanced technology, where they're probably more progressed than us and we don't know it most likely right now, but we're still kind of stuck in that limbo of being too engrossed in it right now because we're still working off of a capitalistic mindset. And I love that you were real about that, because most people will say, oh, I'm just so spiritual. And you still are performing in front of a camera. So we're still a part of it. Like it doesn't end. You just have to, like you said, you put up your boundaries, find your balance in that. Technology is not going away anytime soon. It's going to increase and advance, especially in this time. I was scrolling one day and saw one of these robots that are like people, or they're not people. And in my head, I'm laughing like, did nobody remember iRobot? Like, did we just forget about that? Like, they're going
I
to be
literally watched
sentient
that like
beings.
4 days ago. I literally watched Robot. That's what I was thinking that the whole time in my head. I was like, I have to mention iRobot because I watched it again recently, and I'm like, predictive programming, like.
And the scary thing was, it was saying that like these AI, like they do not want to be referred to as robots, just like an iRobot. They want to be sentient beings. And I mean, the way that we're in our phones, you're basically almost becoming one, whether it's through advanced technology or your inability to separate from technology and get back out into nature. Like, you're going to be a part of that system and program to normalize things like AI, believing that they're human beings. And, that's where the soulful part comes in, because if we forget the soul, it'll be very easy to manipulate the body.
Absolutely. And something else too that I wanted to mention, that it's like I always make a joke of it, but like I think it's because I've just like gone through that part of my journey of like leaving the matrix. I'm like, I want to be off grid and both, technology and all of these things. And I think some of us came here to integrate that. And like I've just accepted that. And it's just taken off so much weight of just like grief and like, oh, I wish it was like the times where, we were just living off the land and things like that. And I think we have roles. I think we have to remember that. Like, some people came here to do that, to keep and anchor in that energy of off gridness. And they are here to do that. And we don't even know who they are because they're off grid. And exactly, that's the point. They're holding that frequency. And the people who are choosing to be on social media and do entrepreneurship and, be in robotics and do all these different things, and be scientists and study, marketing and all these different things. Like, who's to say that's not sacred too? Who's to say that that's not actually a part of elevating the consciousness? Who's to say that that's not supposed to be a part of this, because, if we get into the spiritual jargon, like, oh, everything happens for a reason, divine timing, like everything's happened for a reason. So it's like, it's so interesting because it's like so many different things can contradict ourselves. And I caused a lot of myself headaches. I've had sleepless nights, had anxiety attacks, panic attacks, all kind of stuff, just thinking about, oh my God, the state of the world and technology. And it's like, once I'm in this stage in my life now, just like accepting, like, and then that opens up so much space, because when we're in that combative energy, you're contracting. And that's not the point. The point is to accept and to, integrate these teachings. Like, it's for a reason. Like, we're here. Like, I'm one of those people who believes my soul came here and chose. Like, for whatever reason, you chose to come during this time, and this is what is happening. So, like, I'm not trying to completely escape the matrix, because you can't. It's a reflection of, like, it's not then you're just making it a whole thing of like it being this separate entity, like these bad people, the the demons, the outside for, and it's like,
you're making it bigger than what it is.
Oneness.
Yeah.
I thought it was you. I thought we were okay.
That brings to mind one of my favorite lyrics, or it comes from a song on Lauryn Hill's Unplugged album. She talks about there's a war going outside, but it's not a physical war, it's a war of the mind. And I believe that's what's happening and going on in the world right now. It's that constant fight. We can't fight the fact that there's technology, or that there are robots, or, that all these things are happening. But what we can control is our own minds and what's going on in them right now. I too sit up all night thinking about, what kind of world are my kids going to grow up in? What if everything that's on Black Mirror is really going to happen in real life? It already is. It's the acceptance part. It's the learning to find what works for you. If you want to go off grid in another country, that's absolutely fine. But, that's a whole nother lifestyle that you have to be willing and open to accept. But also there's this world where you can accept that there's going to be technology. Just do not become too much. You have to be, I think there was long time ago, I was studying about Islam, and I think one of the quotes I heard was about dunya, and it was be of the world, not in the world. And being a part of that, you realize like don't get sucked in too much by everything else. Realize you are everything, just like you said, we are consciousness. So we're not too much of this or too much of that. We are everything. And when you stop denying these different parts of yourself, the shadow, the light, the great things that happen to you, the challenges that you have, you're allowed to be like a whole person and also be nothing. And you're not so attached to everything. Detachment is a big part of it.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. And, that made me think of another song lyric. I love when you're connecting the sound because it's like, it's just a medicine. Janae Aiko, one of her songs called Oblivion. When I'm like really in my like doomsday, like end of the world energy, I listen to that song to help me alchemize that energy, like to sit with it and be like, the world's a fucking trip. And then at the end of it, she says, but I'm every bit a part of it. I may have started it. Like, you are, like, it's you too. We are a part of this. We're connected. And like you said, the more we accept our role in it, I think that's where the freedom comes. And then at that point, then we realize we wake up from, the story of suffering, which is a very real experience, and then we alchemize that and we move into, oh wow, I get to choose. Okay, well, there's this part of the experience. There's this part. This. All these different choices, all these different realities, and then it's like, okay, well, do I want to be a millionaire soulpreneur? Do I want to be a mom? Do I want to be a I don't know, a plumber? Do I want to just say forget everybody? I'm just gonna go. I'm going back to Africa and I'm living with my tribe. Like nothing. Like you will never hear from me again. I don't exist. And I think that's a part of the journey. Moving through the feeling like we don't have a choice and the suffering, which not to negate that, like to say like, oh, suffering isn't real. Yes, it is. Like people are suffering and dying and it's painful and those are real experiences. And also there's pockets where there's choice as well too. And so once you get into that level of consciousness and that state of consciousness, um, yeah, you realize like, oh shit, like I'm a part of this. So what's my role? And accepting it and being okay with it.
I
It's
love
hard.
that.
It's
I
hard.
love that so much. So what impact do you hope to have on your time in this world and this current reality? What do you hope to give back to people, or what do you hope to receive?
I'm gonna have to journal about this later, but in the moment, what I hope to share and leave with this world is just inspiring people to. It sounds so cliche, but the cliches are real. I love the cliches. The older I get, I'm like, I love cliches. Like if that's a box of chocolate, you never know what you're gonna get. Like, yes, I love that. I'm gonna get that tattooed on me. I'm being funny, but I would I say the biggest thing I want to leave with the world is I just want to inspire people to go after their childhood dreams. I really believe that that is what I'm here to experience. I feel like a little child. I feel like a little girl. This Leo energy has like burst open my inner child's heart so much, and she's literally like, I want to sing and dance and perform and have fun with my friends and go out and be pretty and put on makeup. I'm like, and I had to move through all of the spiritual ego, right? You dismantle the ego from the past, experiences before you awaken, and then you develop your spiritual ego. And it's like, oh my God, no, like now I have to lock my hair and I can't wear makeup and I gotta live off grid in the middle of nowhere and like no, I'm not wearing shoes anymore. I give up. I'm vegan now. Like I went through that phase, and not to negate someone's experience who, if that is something that resonates with you. But for me, putting that restraint on myself and my inner child was very detrimental. And I feel like I'm healing through that now. And so that's the biggest thing I want to leave, is just like, I want to be the embodiment and the example of someone who alchemized all the shit I'm supposed to alchemize, and I just do what my inner child wants to do, and she wants to sing and dance and wear makeup and play dress up and have fun with my friends and help people in the moment however I'm supposed to help them, whether it be financially, whether it be a hug, whether it be Reiki, a song, whatever that is, and being okay with that. And that feels so light, and that feels so good for me. Yeah, I feel like I'm like having this like moment right now, like in this moment, I'm having like an awakening where I'm like, wow, like, I'm really okay with that, and I'm proud of myself for being able to express that, because at one point, my spiritual ego didn't feel like that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be. I've been awakening Peru. Now I need to be a Peru, the shaman, doing that. Or I need to shave my head. I'm gonna be a monk now. I'm gonna be a nun. Like, I felt like I had to go like that rabbit hole, but like the way that we've always seen it, you know, the way that we've always, the story of the awakened person in that path, where it's like, okay, they become a preacher, or they become a nun, or they become a shaman, or they become like, it's like very traditional roles that's all we've known for people who take their spiritual life seriously. But we're in this world now where it's like, that's not a thing. Like, it doesn't actually have to look like that if that's not what, resonates with you and your soul. So yeah, I want to be that example.
Well, I'm sure you will be not only a great example and an inspiration, but also a conduit for that happening and that awakening, because there is a continuing shift going on right now that I've seen so many people going through. And in doing that and seeing that, I hope that they can encounter more spirits like yours, so that they can recognize themselves and figure out how to move into their next steps and access that inner child again, and listen to that playful little person who does not care about what's going on in the outside world, who just simply wants to enjoy life just as it is. So I want to thank you, Farrah, for being with us here today, for sharing your wisdom. I'm so happy we got to talk a little bit of music, because I know that's something we both hold dear to our hearts. And I will make sure to link all of Farrah's information, her YouTube channel, her amazing music, and her Instagram in the show notes, so you know how to find her. And thank you again, Farrah, for being here today. I really appreciate you in this space, and I cannot wait for more people to find you.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor, and I'm so grateful that you thought of me to be a part of this beautiful project, this beautiful offering that you are sharing with the world. So thank you.
Of course. So this has been the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. Until next time, remember to let love lead the way. Peace. Leave behind what no longer serves you. Remember, your physical body is only a system of transportation for the soul. Allow yourself to feel and forgive the past to move forward into the future.
Connect with the self that wants to take chances, to explore and be. Allow this version of you to become rooted in its new environment and surroundings to grow. Become a vibrational match to your desires. Take the hand of your old self and lead them into a new future. Feel yourself at peace, in flow, in tune, and at one with all that there is and all that there will be. The rhythm of the universe. It takes form inside of your soul. It is a vibration so powerful and intricate